Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live streaming opportunity. As you've seen me jumping on Facebook the last couple of days, I've been telling everybody, you got to see this interview. You got to know about this stuff. It is game changing. It is world renowned, important information, and it's close to nature in its effectiveness. And it's the really effective healing nutritional medicine. So, what I want to do right now is introduce Dr. Jeri, as she's called, if I'm okay to do that. And then I will turn it over to her because she has a lot of great information about herbal aloe force and her special raw aloe vera. And let's give us a background of your background, how you got into this, which was kind of a backwards way of going about it, but it was so important to you that you decided to continue on because you thought it was so beneficial and help people. So let's hear about that.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our call, so that our video, whatever it is, where I'm gonna share my discoveries with you, and hopefully this will be one of the best discoveries of your lifetime, as it has been for mine. I'm a PhD developmental psychologist, child psychologist, until about 28 years ago, when I set out to prove a friend of mine wrong about this new way of processing aloe vera that's turning around AIDS and cancer and everything in between. And I'm like, yeah, right. Now, I'm a woman of science. I'm a researcher. I set out to prove him wrong, to basically shut him up. How those people are. So I set out to scour the research on this new way of processing aloe. And what I discovered was there is a unique way of specially processing aloe vera that keeps it whole and alive and intact, and at the same time removes all the negatives of aloe without breaking down nature's design of this incredible plant. The aloe vera plant in its live form has a legendary reputation from the Egyptians and Alexander the Great, Egyptians being calling it the plant of immortality, mummifying, bodies with aloe, frankincense, and myrrh. But in modern day, and let me just say also, we probably have a story from your grandmother or somebody who broke off a piece of aloe and put it on a burn or a blister, and it healed right up in a day. But aloe products don't do very much. Slightly soothing, slightly cooling. They do not demonstrate the research, and they're barely talked about in terms of supporting health internally or even topically. And that really needs to change, because the aloe plant itself is the only plant on the planet that has all the different sizes of polysaccharides, complex sugars. I call them fuels because people don't like the word sugar, but they are fuels is what they are. And the very, very large complex polysaccharides are called beta-glucomanins. And there's some info in the press about beta-glucans being immune enhancing, and that was all taken from this aloe research. So basically, I set out and discovered the truth about what the research that was going on in the 1980s and early 1990s. The research was done on this very aloe that is in our bottles, the raw purified aloe force. It wasn't called that, but it was the original cold processed aloe when it truly was cold. And all the benefits that were happening with people drinking this new aloe from the couple of places that were carrying it were profound, and started turning around, people failing from HIV and cancer. So Carrington Laboratory Pharmaceutical Company got wind of this, and they hired a team to study it. And what they found was profound, that the aloe plant in its live whole form does contain all the fuels that nature makes, including the mammalian fuel, the fuel from mammals, for our macrophages. Macrophages are our main white blood cells in our body, and they have probably thousands of functions. The macrophages are our intelligent cells. They're the cells that orchestrate the entire immune response, inflammatory response, balance of pH, hormone balance, oxygenation balance. Macrophages also will produce human growth factor to make stem cells and signal everything that needs to be produced in the body. The human growth factor fuels our fibroblasts. It produces collagen and elastin and new tissue, whether it's new bone, new cartilage, new skin, new nerves, new myelin sheath, new whatever the body needs. The macrophages are the main immune wellness growth cells that orchestrate all functioning in the body, that orchestrate and signal whatever's needed to be produced in the body. The macrophages are what vaccines are trying to target, because macrophages, it said macrophage, so I say both ways. And so macrophages are the cells that get stimulated by bacteria and viruses to produce antibodies and to signal all the other immune cells, and to signal whether we need inflammation to protect something, or to take down inflammation to be able to resolve what's underneath the inflammation. So the macrophages are the cells that orchestrate all health, all communication throughout the body. When we have trillions of cells, and the macrophages are the ones that orchestrate the growth and orchestrate all the production of everything in the body. So when you can fuel macrophages, you're fueling your body's own ability to regrow itself, recreate itself, detox, purify. The macrophages are also the cells that engulf and take out anything that shouldn't be in the body, like abnormal cells of all kinds, or microbes, or toxins, and also will engulf and take out excess whatever to create balance. One thing that comes to mind, well, obviously, toxins, and, for fat cells, and, detox and purification is really important in the body, but also this balance idea that it will engulf and take out, candida, and yeast, and, the bad bacteria in the body. They'll take out excess cholesterol to have good cholesterol balance. It will engulf, blood sugars to balance blood sugar if needed. And that's the beauty. The aloe doesn't just go and do things to the body. The live aloe fuels the important healing and health orchestrating cells and systems in the body. I wanted to mention also to balance hormones. I mean, this is key. And when we think of hormones, sometimes we only think of, reproductive, hormones and male, female hormones. But There's brain hormones, melatonin, there's stress hormones, the cortisol, which is in the news a lot lately because it interferes with weight loss. And with all the stress that we have, cortisol is produced for fight and flight, which shuts down digestion, shuts down the immune system to make all our energy go to fight or flight, arms and legs, and and heart pounding. The beauty about the live aloe that has the fuel that can get delivered to the macrophages will then take out excess cortisol so that doesn't harm your body. So if you're having a fear or stress surge, it's really good to drink a little extra aloe at the time. And within 10 minutes, you'll feel better because the actual hormones that were produced that are, wait, there's no lying. So we can rinse this out. This is the job of the macrophages. So it's an incredibly core, fundamental, empowering fuel. Another interesting, crucial fact is that the beta-glucomannan polysaccharide fuel that is unique to the aloe plant, our body stops being able to produce after puberty.
Wow.
So that's after puberty is when our growth phase declines. So the growth fuel ability to make your own growth fuel disappears. We hear about mushrooms, healing mushrooms and cartilage and colostrum. And technically the mushrooms are high in beta-glucomannans, but not this particular one. They're high in beta-1,3 glucomannans, which are precursors to immune fuel. Mammalian, and human colostrum, if you look up, you can Google the, chemical composition of colostrum, and it is plentiful in the beta-1,4 glucomannan because it's designed by nature to fuel the newborn's digestive system and heart and lungs, and to fuel the newborn's immune system. So there's a lot of aloe beta-glucans in colostrum. Problem with colostrum products, mushroom products, aloe products, beta-glucan products is when you break them down, they no longer work. When you heat the product, when you heat it or you dry it or you concentrate it, take out water, all these things you need to do to sterilize, and keep the item pure, actually destroy the structure of these very large, huge, certain size, shape, molecular weight fuels. It breaks them apart into smaller ones, which are slightly anti-inflammatory. They can block inflammation like steroids, but they don't fuel anything. So even though the research on aloe and the research on those mushrooms and colostrum and beta-glucans is great, but the research was done on this aloe, live aloe, was done in the lab, with the mushrooms, with the colostrum, putting it right into the, petri dish with the cell. Doesn't have to go through the digestive system or through the bloodstream or the lymph system. And so the scientific research can show these benefits of the mushroom beta-glucans, and beta-glucans in general. And but in the body, in the bottle, in the body, those supplements are elements that are broken. Now, the pharmaceutical company that was doing the research on aloe from our lab, they also proved that you can't break down the aloe. So they're using this live aloe. They did all this magnificent research for a couple of years, turning around every animal disease and problem. They did research with humans with HIV and different types of cancers and hepatitis. And when they were drinking our aloe, their success rates were over 98% success.
Wow.
So they researched and researched to find out what is in this that is doing this, like scientists like to do, which is great for informational purposes only, not for consumption, because it's beautiful research. I would not be here. We would not be here if they didn't do this magnificent research. So Carrington Lab, thank you. But they took a wrong turn. So they did discover that it's, they beta-1,3 and beta-1,4 glucomanins, do help support the macrophages, but the beta-1,4 is the only direct fuel that directly fits the receptor site of the macrophage, which empowers it, it fuels it, it doesn't overstimulate it. Now, remind me to come back to autoimmune issues. But I want to finish with Carrington Lab. So they were like flipping out. They did one study that impressed me no end. They had when they were first starting out, they had they took blood samples from 6 of the scientists working there, and they introduced into the blood sample, they introduced HIV, and all 6 blood samples infected. They had the researchers drink, we do less, 16 ounces, 4 ounces, 4 times a day for 6 days. This is what would be equivalent to the pure Aloe Force, which is raw, unheated, whole, but purified completely without damaging it. They had them drink the 4 ounces 4 times a day for 6 days. Then they took, after the 6 days, they took blood samples again, and they introduced HIV, and not one blood sample infected. And they examined, while it was, going on, right? I would have loved to have seen
That's amazing.
the electron microscope doing that. Yeah. But they found that that the macrophages just started engulfing, all the HIV and going into the viral envelope, breaking viral envelope. Interestingly enough, COVID is also a fat lipid membrane virus, similar to HIV. So you have to think, think beyond HIV there. So it destroyed the virus. Also, they found that it strengthens the cell membranes so that the virus couldn't get in, that the cell became stronger to resist being invaded and damaged by the virus. And they showed that it oxygenated the blood as well, and the virus just withered. And so it was a beautiful thing to say, like, oh my God, the aloe empowered the macrophages in the body to the point where they could clear out viruses 10 times better than normal. And help cellular metabolism to push out toxins, cell membranes to strengthen, to resist invasion and damage. And I was blown away. So they went on so they discovered it was the beta-1,4 glucomannan, and they isolated it with the beta-1,3s, and they patented a freeze-dried powder called Ace-mannan.
Oh.
And you'll see that on the internet, Ace-mannan. Does it have Ace-mannan in it? Like, who cares? But anyway, you'll see. So they patented Ace-mannan. So I was intrigued at this point when I was trying to prove this wrong. Was like, this company, they're spending, millions and millions of dollars with FDA approved research. So there must be some validity to something. There has to be something good here to spend all that money doing this. So I continued. And so when they continued their their oral Acemannan clinical research with HIV and cancer, breast cancer, I think they were doing at this point. It no longer worked better than placebo.
Wow.
Same dosage equivalent. They thought they had the answer to everything in a little capsule. So did their investors.
Yep.
But they were shocked, thinking, oh, we've got 100% beta 1, 3, and 4 glucomanins.
How could be better, right?
Concentrate. How could be better? But the digestive system, and the lymph system and the intelligence system in the body are like, what the heck is this? I don't know. It just did nothing. It barely, well, actually, it did not do nothing. It did a little anti-inflammatory in the gut. And so they abandoned that research. Wow. And instead of going back to the liquid, they went to an injectable form to continue their research. So with the injectable, they would inject the, prepared Acemannan solution into tumors, and right into the tumor. It kind of worked well, but didn't stop the tumor from coming back. It didn't do anything else. It had to be injected right into an area. And their results were less than 70%.
I think it's a good point for everyone to understand. The common sense of everything that you've said so far is isolating something from nature is kind of foolish, as it says in an article I was reading just this morning, to quote them exactly, foolish. But the idea that it works in harmony with all the other things together, whole, as yours is whole leaf, whole food, unprocessed, unheated, undestroyed, then as a synergistic bundle, it actually works in harmony with another natural thing, which is our bodies. So I think that was kind of, it's so disappointing, of course, but they wanted to isolate one thing and to be able to, work with a concentrate type of situation.
Exactly. I mean, it's one thing to isolate it, to research it and find out what it does, in a petri dish, but to not even go back to the liquid they all drank, felt better from. And, one guy got over pneumonia in 2 weeks instead of like 6 months. I was absolutely shocked. And I actually spoke to them, and it's like, well, why don't you sell the liquid? No, we can't. Our investors, whatever.
Yeah, that's disappointing. Yep.
Yeah. So that's when I left my psychology practice and mission and said, well, knowing that here's the source for the fuel for our body's creation. We could actually regrow our bodies and purify them and regenerate them and balance them and protect our bodies. And it wasn't being made available to the public anymore because what happened is a bunch of different things happened at the time. I discovered this. They were not going to do, Carrington Lab was not going to do anything with the liquid. They abandoned all their research. They sold out to Medline, Acemannan. Then they started selling as supplements in capsule forms and were called beta glucans. Anyway, and the multi-level marketing company that was selling this original cold processed aloe, which is how we kind of, most people have ever heard of this happening in the late 80s. The multi-level marketing company switched to a different manufacturer to make it, because my manufacturer would not dilute or cheapen the product like they wanted. So it was, and certain doctors was using it. Dr. Terry Pulse, which is there's an article of his research turning HIV around with drinking the pure Aloe Force, 4 ounces 4 times a day for 3 months. Anyway, other than these handful of people, the aloe was not going to be made available to the public anymore. So we are a grassroots company. So that's when I decided, my manufacturer said, well, I'll sell to you. I had set up a 100-person AIDS study with the AIDS trial doctor, Dr. Sonnabend in New York City.
Wow.
That was supposed to start a month after the few people we had it on, and we couldn't get it from the multi-level marketing company was donating the aloe. And I coordinated all for a 100-person replication of Dr. Terry Pulse's AIDS study. And I had no access to the aloe.
Oh.
They used a different manufacturer. It stopped working. The few pilot study patients that we had were getting sick again, drinking this cold processed whole leaf aloe removed aloe. But it was none of those things. So I go to the manufacturer. It's like, but it says cold process. Well, it's mostly cold, but it's, flash pasteurized. Well, it's like, you flash pasteurized me, I'm not alive anymore. 400 degrees, for a minute is, it's, anyway, flash pasteurization. So you can't trust the term cold process. We switched it to raw, purified, because the aloe plant is a magnificent plant. It has over 300 identified nutrients, and there's probably more. It has enzymes. It has like liver enzymes, pancreatic enzymes, proteolytic enzymes of all kinds that break down debris in the body and take it out. The macrophages engulf and take things out that shouldn't be there and signal, the whole body to empower itself.
It's a great cleanup process, anti-inflammatory process, systemically for the whole body. And
the intelligence of the body to go where it's needed first. So the key to the aloe is that it needs to be in its whole unbroken form, because it's not just the polysaccharides, the beta glucans alone that can do anything or go anywhere. It's the entire complex, that it's a vehicle. The aloe complex is an intricately designed complex with the large polysaccharides on one end and all the vitamins, minerals, electrolyte minerals, amino acids. You could live on aloe alone.
Wow.
Forever. Very well. It's an incredibly whole, balanced food. The aloe plant is also 95% water and 5% these miracle fuels, all the fuels and all the elements, vitamins, minerals, polyphenols, growth factors, analgesics, and antiseptics, antihistamines. It's like it has everything. It's a little earth. It's a little earth. The aloe plant is 95% water, and it lives in a desert. It thrives in a desert. It creates and keeps its water in. It hydrates itself. The plant only needs a 1/4 inch of rain a year.
Wow.
To be this. It's in and the rind. Okay, so there's all the information out there on the internet, all the information, you practitioners and even aloe lovers and out there, all the information out there does not apply to our aloe. All the negatives of aloe are out there. And first of all, you should not take other aloes internally at all, but definitely not daily, not in high amounts, because the plant itself has a toxin in it. All plants have a toxic defense system to keep animals from making it extinct. And the aloe, the main layer of this poison venom, is between the rind and the inner gel of the plant. But what most people don't realize that are touting, you can't have whole leaf aloe because of the toxin, the laxative, irritant, toxin in it. So they cut away the most potent part, which is the rind, and they give you the inner gel that's somewhat filtered, which further damages the aloe, and then they pasteurize it. But the inner gel still has the toxin in it. And it used to be the limit was 50 parts per million of this laxative toxin was allowed in internal aloe products until maybe 10 years ago when Prop 65, the FDA wanted to get rid of aloe because there was all this hubbub about immune enhancing, you know, and they didn't even need to bother because we're the only ones who have this, and, you know, and, but they had a study done on aloe proving that it's carcinogenic because it wasn't purified. They just took the plant without removing any of the toxin and found that it was causing cancer in mice. So without any of it removed, you should not be eating the live plant, even just the inner gel, because it has a lot of this toxic, toxicity in it, which suppresses the immune system, causes liver issues on a daily basis. It's just not something, that's necessary and that you need. All other aloes and all information about aloe that's out there, if it's not on our website, if it wasn't done with fresh aloe or our aloe, then it does not apply.
So it's important for people to know that your aloe specifically does not have that toxin.
Right. We remove it 100%. We guarantee it. We put the amount on the label. It's 0.0 parts per million. Since the FDA commanded that research to scare people away from using aloe, the regulation is now 10 parts per million. So any other aloe that you're looking at, even the dried aloes, especially dried concentrated aloe, because they're concentrating the toxin as well.
Right. That's even worse. Yes.
It's even worse. But the label could say cold processed, aloe and removed, because they do remove some. But they don't tell you how much is still left in the product. So as much as I love aloe vera, I love the fresh plant, but I still wouldn't use that daily when we have access to our topical skin gel, which is, like you said, we use the liquid from the rind of the plant and we use the liquid from the inner gel of the plant. Then we combine those liquids. It's never heated. Preservatives are added in the field to keep the bacteria level down until we do our special process. So we do a special process that gets all the impurities to separate from the aloe. So the aloe is so strong. It's a strong, magnificent, complex. And with our process, it removes itself from everything that isn't aloe. So, and that was the new invention to be able to use the whole leaf, but use a cheaper process to use the whole leaf, grind it all up, and take the toxins out. But what they found is it not only removed most of the aloe, but it removed all of it. So it's basically sterile, and it also removed all the microbes, bacteria, virus, fungus, mold, heavy metals, anything that wasn't the aloe complex itself. So it's the purest form imaginable of the aloe plant, and it's unheated, unbroken. We don't dilute it. We never remove or add water. This liquid is put into the bottle. This liquid, the live, raw, whole aloe, we also use to make the herbal extractions that are in the herbally enhanced aloe force. Herbal aloe force is 98% of the product is pure aloe force, and 2% of the product are the aloe extracted herbs. The aloe having all its polysaccharides intact actually will pull the herbs into itself. Now, aloe that's damaged, you don't see any aloe extracts, herbal extracts out there, because dead aloe doesn't do that. Dead aloe can't extract herbs. And that's another story. So in its wholeness, the rind is so important, because as opposed to concentrating it by just removing water, we are concentrating its potency by using the liquid from the rind, which is 8 to 10 times more potent in the large growth polysaccharides, the special aloe beta glucans, because when the skin is really strong to withstand the wind, in the desert, and sandstorms and all that stuff. But also if, an insect or an animal or the wind, breaks the leaf at all, it instantly grows its skin. It instantly grows a film. And that's why those growth fuels are concentrated in the rind of the plant to grow its skin instantly. So when we're drinking this in and we're putting this on our skin, because it's in its whole form, all the intricate nutrients and polysaccharides are in a complex of water that's, like I said, charged on one end, positive, and charged on the other. And it goes into cells 5 times more easily than water. It penetrates through the skin. I've had, people and researchers describe it as it just goes in and out of cells like instantly. And it gets absorbed instantly. It gets absorbed through mucous membranes and special receptor sites in the gut, looking for these growth fuels, because our bodies are designed to attract those growth fuels, bring them directly into the lymph system, where because of its wholeness and its biochemical electrical charge, the aloe itself will get drawn to chemotactic signals from wounds, from immune cells that are calling out for fuel. It gets attracted right to where it's being called to, and fuels the immune cells to be able to clean up and repair and regenerate and take out, what shouldn't be there. So it speeds up healing magnificently and empowers the body to do everything it wants to do, needs to do, and now with the fuel, it can do. So
like to do.
Yeah, I just wanted to say one more thing. So in this, I want you to think about, it is the fuel for our body's own healthcare, repair, balancing system, and a little helps a little and a lot helps a lot. There is no dosage, because it's not a pill. It doesn't do anything to anything. It's a fuel. So it's like, how much water do you need to drink? It's like, well, water is really good for you. It hydrates you. But if you have, an ounce of water a day, not enough. And so it's more of a fuel than a supplement or even a food, because, well, it's like, how many apples do you need, for good, enzyme delivery? Probably 3 a day. Are we eating 3 a day? Anyway, I'd rather just drink my aloe for my enzymes and my fuels. But it gets used up beautifully. It hydrates the cells, hydrates the brain, hydrates your entire body with electrolyte minerals. So you're empowered and hydrated to be able to purify the body and to be able to support the functions of all the glands, organs, and systems throughout the body.
what I'd like to do is, especially because we have a lot of questions and a lot of people are watching
Great.
right now, so they can take this incredible information. I think a couple of quick takeaways. Number one, it is a fuel. It's not necessarily a fuel food, but it's a fuel which basically helps us to not only fix things but repair and regenerate. So one of the first questions is someone who has a question in terms of how to use it. They use it for about 6 months. They had gut issues. They have gastroenteritis and gut issues for 6 months, and then they ran out of the aloe, and then the symptoms seem to be returning a little bit. So the question is, should people have to stay on a max amount a lot, or can they also
Mm-hmm.
eventually get back to a smaller amount for long term, say for the rest of their lives, something like that?
Yeah, what we have found based on the research that was done is that it's best when you first begin the aloe internally to start slowly. Like first time, don't take 4 ounces. First time, take half ounce or an ounce, diluted or not, in juice or not. Just don't put it in boiling tea or coffee, just because of the heat. But so you start small, because you're fueling your body is going to want to flush all this junk out of your body. So you want to do that a little more comfortably. But you can take one day, or two. Like you can take an ounce in the morning, your first morning, then take another ounce, late morning, another, then 2 ounces at 3 o'clock, 3 ounces, in the evening, if you've had no detox. So you can ramp up very quickly. What we recommend is you ramp up to a usage amount that where your symptoms back off, or follow the guidelines in our usage page on our brochure and information, herbalanswers.com, or get a brochure, from Joe. So you want to establish a therapeutic amount for a month to 3 months. Is the most cost-effective way to do it. Because yes, you can have all these gut issues, inflammation and leaky gut and ulcerative colitis and, and irregularity. You can have all these things that come with brain fog and all this other stuff.
And SIBO too?
SIBO, yep. And
Okay.
you can, anything that's wrong, will be addressed. And it's because questions, if it's a little tiny, one issue, it may not take that much to address it. But if there's confounding factors, but the best, who couldn't be healthier? I took 2 ounces twice a day just because I was reading the research. I thought it was perfectly healthy. But what it did after a few months with just 2 ounces twice a day, which I call a good supplement dosage, my sinus drip went away, never had another sinus infection again. My dry skin went away. Hormonal acne went away. My dry skin went away just from drinking 2 ounces twice a day of the aloe. I had dry skin and psoriasis all over my body. I had to put oil on my legs. This is, 30 years ago, so we're talking before, a lot of the new things we have now, but
that would even be similar to a dermatitis or something like that.
yes, all kinds of dermatitis, yeah. So any kind of dryness or psoriasis or eczema or just, crepey, dry skin, just absolutely anything, detoxing through the skin. So at 2 ounces twice a day, it took me months. I had a candida cleanse, didn't know I had candida because I had no symptoms of anything other than getting sinus infections here and there and hormonal acne and PMS and all these problems. On 2 ounces twice a day, although it took a couple months, it redefined my concept of what healthy is.
Wow.
Because right now I know the first year though, if I started to get swollen glands, or sore throat or, like the baby didn't get a cold, I would just up my dosage to the 4 ounces 4 times that day. And in the first year, sometimes it took several days to turn something around if I waited too long. The best way to do it is preventatively.
Yep.
At the first sign of you're tired and you think, oh, tired and cranky or swollen glands or a scratchy throat, go immediately up to the therapeutic dosage. 4 ounces 4 times a day or 4 ounces before bed. And you get so empowered, you wake up fine. Now, the first year it took a little more because I had, was fixing my body and all these things that, I didn't think I was unhealthy, but apparently there was more health to be gained. So the second year, I would just take 4 ounces before bed and my glands would go down before I even got into bed.
Wow.
Third year, it just kept getting, needing less and less to keep myself healthy. Now I haven't gotten swollen glands or a sore throat or a cold in 27 years since I started this. And now I know that if I get really tired, that's my signal. That's my symptom. And then I'll do more aloe that day and it doesn't go beyond that. So, but I can drink, also once you've cleared your system and you're drinking the aloe, even an ounce a day regularly, you can immediately go up. You don't have to gradually build again because your body has done the initial purge and you're keeping up a little bit each day with the purification so that if you find yourself, in a situation where you feel like you're losing the battle, health, that you could drink a whole bottle, in one sitting and just feel fantastic. So there's no negative side effects. So building very quickly to a therapeutic usage amount, like for gut issues, I would have suggested at 8 ounces a day or 9, 3 ounces 3 times a day.
Okay.
For a month before going back down, to see where you could, where you could maintain those results. So you want to build up to a usage amount where, you're shedding some junk, you're feeling more energy. Your skin is better. You're noticing change. You're noticing some benefits and your symptoms either disappear or lessen. And that's a good rule of thumb too. It's like, my stomach feels a little better. It's not as gurgly or, I didn't, or whatever. It's like, well, then double your dosage. If it's half, if it gets half better, try double your dosage. You won't need that all along. And the opposite is true. If you're just taking 1 ounce twice a day or 2 ounces or once a day or 2 ounces once a day and, I feel great. I feel fine.
With that.
But when you stop, you realize you were just keeping up with the inflammation, and the soothing and the acid reflux or whatever, the tissues, and you weren't going beyond the keeping up to where empowering and fueling the macrophages to orchestrate the regeneration of healthy gut linings that no longer irritated. So acid production, you don't feel it. And yay, I have acid that can digest my food, which we really do need. So you can't take too much, you can take too little. If you can take, if you can drink, 2 ounces 3 times a day, or 3 ounces 3 times a day or more, you not only will purify your body better, you'll get to issues you didn't even, like I said, you didn't know you had, and will actually not only soothe the gut and help, digestion and elimination, but it can actually fuel the regeneration of the large intestines, the colon, to the neuromusculature. If you have constipation, it can actually not only break down crud in the body, so there's better absorption, but also to regenerate the nerves if you've taken laxatives, if you've taken acid blockers, or if you had a chronic issue, you want to do a therapeutic amount to go beyond just symptom relief and get to the actual regeneration. And that's what we see. So someone who's doing 12 ounces a day, 4 ounces 3 times a day for a month with different, and they don't even know what, that's the other beauty. You don't have to spend a lot of time, money, and stress on tests a lot. It's like, you don't feel well, drink the aloe and let your body knows what's wrong.
That's a smart one.
And it knows all the things involved, and it knows how to regrow it. So it's key. So it's much more cost effective to take a month to just mostly fast, intermittent fasting. The aloe is absorbed and it penetrates directly like water. It does not need digestion. So it can be put in feeding tubes. It can be nebulized and breathed directly into the lungs. It can be used during times of fasting, which is fantastic because it fuels the body's, immune system and fat burning metabolism without breaking the fast. So it's great. And I don't know why this keeps coming to me, but there's a big diabetes problem in this country. And the aloe, not only, there's a lot of misinformation out there that I get all these people sending these articles. Oh, but aloe, is not good for, blood sugar or whatever. But this is intelligent aloe. This is aloe that fuels the macrophages that will balance blood sugar, but not only balance blood sugar, they will go, the macrophages know the insulin receptor sites are dull, insulin resistance. The whole sugar metabolism process is overworked, damaged. And that's what the key is, not just to balance blood sugar, in a moment's notice, which works with like hyperactive kids. If they've been at a party and they have sugar, I had a mother call me, because you're right, I got him home. He was jumping off the walls after eating all this candy. And I gave him an ounce of aloe, and 10 minutes later, he was sitting on the couch watching a movie.
That's great.
So not only does that in the immediacy, but will fuel the regeneration of the insulin receptor sites and the whole insulin sugar metabolism to where they're sensitive again, and you can metabolize sugar better. So Dr. Ivan Danhoff is an MD, PhD. He is some research and that we have on our website. He was one of the Carrington Lab researchers, actually. And now he goes around injecting aloe. I've talked to him so many times. I don't get it. But anyway, he talks about reversing type 1 and type 2 diabetes. And the one thing I keep learning every friggin' day, it's been 27 years since I started the company, probably 30 years since I became aware of this. And I have new discoveries every single day about, what the body can do when it's fueled this way. And no one knows about it. Because if you're not here listening right now and looking at the research and trying it yourself, and it gets missed because you are hearing about it first. We are pioneers. In 10 years, I hope that practitioners and other people start to do that. But now we have We have practitioners like yourself who can share, and you all can share, try it for yourself, share with others. We need to make this known under the radar of the FDA. So when I'm learning about brain health and anti-aging and memory and all, not only does the aloe help produce the production of stem cells, which can become nerves and brain cells and all that. Also, the brain, in the blood-brain barrier, I guess, are a lot of insulin receptor sites. And I didn't know this, but the brain fog kind of can come from this sugar metabolism issue and insulin, because the brain needs water, which it gets from the aloe. You can hold the aloe in your mouth a little bit. The brain takes what it needs. But to heal the insulin receptor and production, sites for the brain needs insulin. And so sometimes brain fog cannot just be, your gut being off, and putrid, but can be a disturbance in the insulin production and absorption to the brain to give it what it needs. So I love that the body knows what it needs to do, and the live, raw, purified aloe gives us an unlimited amount of fuel that is just a beautiful, magnificent balance of all the nutrients that we need. The vitamins in aloe, it has several B vitamins, B6, B12. Plants don't have B vitamins. It has vitamin K. It has, these enzymes. It's an oasis in the desert that seems to be our health situation.
So
it,
go
yeah.
ahead, please. And then we
I just want to say, like, the brain health. And I've seen it turn around, people with brain lesions from MS. Had a woman who she stuck with that 4 ounces 4 times a day even though she regained her health in a couple of months and her brain activity, she was determined to get rid of all the lesions in her brain from MS. And she did.
So we have a couple of questions related to that. 2 quick questions is, one is in terms of what you mentioned before, in terms of healing the gut, people that have had something which is called a Whipple surgery, which is a specific surgery, can the aloe support the bile reflux, which is one part of that? And then the other one, there was a specific person that was asking about aloe and brain cancers, which it sounds like, just from what you've said so far, it will basically nutrify the brain. It will heal the brain. It will get rid of lesions, which are scars in the brain. It will allow the insulin receptors to create more energy for the brain to recover. So in terms of those 2 areas of the body, say healing the bile reflux, as well as, the brain itself, a lot of people think that the brain is unacceptable. And another aspect of that is something you said earlier. People inhale, because I know people use inhaling frankincense and things through the sinuses for brain cancers. And I think aloe vera would also be similar to that.
This would be superior, and you can do them together.
Okay.
The aloe, the live aloe, like I said, is penetrates and absorbs 5 times better than water. And in its wholeness, it's what Dr. Robert Davis, his articles on our website, talks about it being a biological vehicle. So anything put with this aloe, the aloe will bring it in. That's why the herbs we have in the herbal aloe force are, it's a small amount of herbs, but they're absorbed magnificently. So it will help essential oils get absorbed better, other supplements, or anything topically, internally. It will help the absorption and penetration. And there was a study done showing that vitamins A, E, and C were 2 to 3 times more absorbed into the bloodstream when taken with aloe instead of water.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. So, is the Whipple surgery? Is that the
It's
closing
kind of
up?
like a surgery that goes through a larger area of the abdomen for cancer patients, and then it leaves.
So it's a cleaning out,
It's a
or
cleaning out in many ways. It's a cleaning out. So what happens is one of the common side effects, of course, will be scar tissues and different things, and specifically would be as they're asking for about is bile reflux, which, as you said before, any kind of reflux will be burning stuff, and then it will be difficult to actually regenerate and heal because of this
yeah.
cycle
So
of
yeah,
burning.
this is perfect to fuel the regeneration
Okay,
of the gut linings, and in anything that's out of whack. But even before the surgery, if we can get into prevention or using this to empower the immune system to clean up the gut, so you wouldn't have to scrape off all that, you wouldn't have to do it in ways that damage. Some people can't wait, so they want to do both, and that's their choice, and that's fine. But absolutely do therapeutic amount of the herbal aloe force internally to avoid scar tissue, so that the healing of the tissues is beautiful. Now that's topical and internal. I actually, my sister had knee surgery, and she had knee surgery on her right knee, with that huge, I don't know, 2-foot scar, um, 2 foot long scar. And I was bugging her, put the gel on right away,
right.
and she didn't. And she didn't. And to this day, 4 years later, she still has a scar. So she had her left leg done, her left knee done, same scar, but this time she listened to me.
There you
And,
go. Great experiment.
and she put the gel on from the beginning, no scar.
Oh my goodness. There you go. That's a
Healed
great
like
experiment.
the scar healed up in a matter of like 3 weeks instead of months, and no scar. She's going
Wow.
to send us pictures. Like, she didn't take pictures, but so the same thing is happening on the inside. So absolutely, yeah, someone who has had, surgery or cancer or an issue or any type of, surgery anywhere in the body, it takes a little longer for scar tissue to get broken down if
Right.
it's years, and but it will take any area that's not scarred, and make that healthier, and it will just take time. You may want to add some other extra proteolytic enzymes like serrapeptase, but when it's done soon on, I mean, and from the Whipple surgery, it's not huge scarring. It's not like they cut the entire, gut all the way through. So it's just more of a scraping. And so I think it's hard to tell also.
Yep.
Is it better, like, without a scope? But you might be, after a month of doing a therapeutic amount, you might notice more energy, more absorption,
Okay.
because the tissues, have healed.
So a
So
couple.
absolutely, the sooner you can do it, the better. But it absolutely works to empower those macrophages to break down
Yep.
that scar tissue and signal and produce the fuel needed to regrow healthy tissues that are not sensitive to acid, that are healthy and can and keep the body healthy from whatever the original cause of the damage was when you have a healthy immune system. The one thing I've learned, one of the things I've learned about our bodies from aloe. Aloe will teach you a lot about your bodies. Is that, now I forgot what I was going to say because I qualified it too much. That in the gut, and I forget. Okay. That, yeah, I mean, prevention is key, and usage amount, is key, because there isn't anything the body can't do with enough fuel.
I think that's a good message. And the reason the aloe vera is so good because it works in the environment of the body. It's not an enemy or a foreign substance. It goes in because it's like our bodies. So I think it's actually pretty good.
And you don't have to worry about how much or what it's doing, because it is not doing anything. It is fueling the cells of your body. It's
right.
Fueling your different immune cells, your tissue producing cells, your brain cells, your gut cells. It's just fueling the cells that need fueling and hydrating and providing all the nutrients that it needs that the body can take. But it's key that the only way all this comes together is if you're using the fresh live plant and using the rind and the inner gel liquid, and that it's purified for daily use. Then you don't have to know what's wrong. You don't have to know if too much, too little, because the body will use it. If you take too much for your gut, then maybe it'll work on getting rid of the wrinkles on your face. So the body will prioritize what needs to be addressed and fueled first, second and third. So none of it gets wasted.
So we have a couple more questions, and then I wanted to go to the images. We have some amazing images of real cases. And so the first question, the next question is, for example, if somebody has had surgery and say 50% of a pancreas was removed, it wouldn't necessarily regenerate the lost part of the pancreas. I know the liver can regenerate and come back, but things like the pancreas, that's one part. And then can fibroblasts fix the stomach? So those are two things about regeneration. And then there's one other question about assisting vitamins and herbs, which we can get to next.
Okay. So if 50% of the pancreas has been removed, I haven't heard about pancreases regrowing, but the 50% that's left will certainly be, fueled to be empowered and take over and produce everything it needs. Plus, the aloe has pancreatic enzymes, so it takes some of the burden off.
Yep, that's a good point.
Pancreas. But I have said, again, prevention would have been better, because I've seen livers regenerate. I had a woman who had, she was in her early 20s and had a liver disease. She was just losing. She had cirrhosis of the liver, and she had like only 20% of her liver was functional.
Wow.
And she did the 4 ounces 4 times a day for 3 months, and the doctors were shocked. Her liver came back. It re-enlivened her entire liver. In light of having a genetically expressing disease. So, yeah. So fueling the body with, growth fuel is just a magnificent thing. Like, I just love the fact that you don't have to know what it is too. It's like, well, why don't you go to the doctor and find out what it is? Well, why don't I drink a lot of aloe for a week and see if it goes away?
Problem solved. There you go.
Although people can find out whatever. So with the pancreatic health, absolutely. And if it's possible to have the pancreas grow from that, I'm sure the aloe fuel is about the only thing I would think could do that.
But
The gut linings absolutely regenerate.
yep, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely regenerate. They're very tender. They're very susceptible. And our immune cells, the macrophages, are concentrated in the mouth, the nose, the throat, the
Right.
gut, the esophagus. And the gut, it's our first line of defense. And to regrow it and to digest everything, it's there's a lot going on there, and it's a beautiful thing. But back to your question about taking too little, I do have way too many people that I come across that they're just happy as a clam. They'll praise the aloe, and they're aloe lovers, and they can't be without it. And they're drinking 1 or 2 ounces a day, and their gut is fine. It's like, but if they stop drinking it, the problem comes back because they didn't do the regeneration part. They didn't do the therapeutic amount. They were just keeping up with the daily acid and the daily eating and the daily stress. And so it does matter. But when you do the therapeutic amount for a significant amount of time, and you go down to 2 ounces a day to keep up, then if you go off, you're not gonna, it'll take a long time for it to get into trouble again. If after it's healed, like let's say it took you, you've been fine, until you're 30 or whatever, it could take 30 years to break it down again. I was shocked when my ex-husband, who turned around chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, Epstein-Barr, all of it, cytomegalovirus, he had all that, was always sick. And when we got into the aloe, he was drinking 4 ounces 4 times a day, and he got better. Didn't get colds anymore. And it was how many years? So it was about 4 years that he was on that. And then when we split up, and for whatever reasons, he stopped drinking the aloe totally. Wow. And I was concerned, but it was interesting. And he was actually healthy and didn't start getting sick again for 10 years.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. Regenerated his immune system, his digestive system, his endocrine system, everything was just totally cleaned out and regenerated and working optimally, to where it took 10 years to get a cold. And it was fleeting. It wasn't his usual, horrible problem. So it was, it's pretty amazing. The body is amazing. And like you said earlier, it's nature's design. The aloe just can't be replicated. We can sit there with our 25 bottles of supplements thinking we're getting, I need a little of this, I need a little of that. How do you know? How do you know it's being used? How do you know how much? It's so much better to, eat some spinach, have some apples, and drink your aloe.
So there are a couple more questions, and then we'll go to the images, but there's a couple of really good questions and a clarification, because I find this stuff is so important, and I just want people to be inspired to do it. I mean, I've used it with many patients, and always great results in it. Like I say, it's this common sense, when we are from nature, it is from nature, it works, and it has all that intelligence, that native intelligence. So in terms of dermatitis, is it best to drink or to topical, or both? Topically, probably for the itchy part, if there's an itchy part, or internally just for the underlying systemic cause. Mm-hmm. What would you say in answer to that?
Absolutely both.
Okay.
Absolutely both. Because topically, You want to do topically, not just internally, because topically, well, first of all, when you did that, I immediately remembered, like,
Yep.
oh yeah, it absorbs all the way in, and it's anti-inflammatory. Well, it fuels the correct politically correct way to phrase it is it fuels the macrophages to take down inflammation and relieve pain. But actually, there's also small polysaccharides that interfere and block inflammation.
Okay.
Steroids do, but empower the immune system at the same time and not
Oh,
toxic. So it's awesome. But also, you get the pain relief. The little plant sterols and the plant analgesics. All the plant polyphenols, as well as the macrophage fuel. But also, so it's what I like to think of it as is a local delivery system. So it does penetrate the skin all the way through to the muscles and connective tissue and bloodstream, lymph system by going into the skin, because it penetrates, it just whips right through cells to go to where it's needed. So you bring in all those properties and attracting and empowering the immune cells and the tissue production, fibroblasts that produce new collagen, buzzword, everyone wants collagen. You want to take a pill, or you want to fuel your entire body to produce collagen? That's what you want. So it's a local delivery. So for swollen glands or tumors, that you can feel, or lumps and liposomas and bunions and any kind of lumps or any kind of skin issue at all, you want to do topically, because it's fueling the skin system and the immune system right in the skin. But internally, you are dealing with empowering whatever's causing the skin issue in the first place.
okay.
And also to just empower the entire body to, even if it's just a cut, a topical cut, still by drinking the aloe, you're going to empower your immune system everywhere to go where it's needed, and to protect the body from infection and from whatever else. So internally, like I said, it can, hydrates the body, 5 times better than water itself. So you get more bang for your buck. You can add some aloe to your glass of water.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
And it will help, even absorb the water better. But by really detoxing, hydrating the detox systems so the body can flush more, empowering the macrophages to be able to take out,
Okay.
toxins, the flush, to take the burden off the liver. A lot of skin issues are liver and kidney related. So empowering the body to purify and fortify the organs,
Okay.
be able to flush and detox the normal ways that are not through the skin. But also sometimes these skin things happens because there's so much need elsewhere that there's not much, of immune system left, to keep sun damage from becoming something else. So, but at the same time, I've seen, little, hemorrhoids, with the gel, putting the gel on some toilet paper and wiping rectally, hemorrhoids and little cysts and tumors that you can feel. The gel actually is bizarre. I was dealing with someone who had all these, we don't know what they were, cysts of some sort or lipomas at the base of her spine, and didn't want surgery, or anything. So we'll start with put the gel on as often as you can, and it gets absorbed in. And guess what? Well, it took about 6 months of doing it, especially at night, but doing it several times a day, putting the gel on. She kept getting these little pimples, the tumor is, or cysts, broke down, they did their thing. It was breaking it down and pushing it out the skin, because
Pushing it out the skin. That's what we do.
that's what we do. And she was amazed, but she's like, well, I woke up, this morning with like 10 little, little bumps, on the skin. And I put the gel on, and the next morning it was smooth. So it's like a process, so it's a detox process that's being fueled. But also it can be used in conjunction with surgery. A lot of the research Carrington Lab did and other people did is that it can prepare tumors if you're not willing to wait, for a tumor to first the body, usually the immune system, if they're pushing toxins into a tumor for some reason, there's a tumor or inflammation or whatever, the body's first response is to take all the toxicity and all the abnormal cells and push it into the tumor. And so it sometimes can get bigger at first. If it's in the skin, you think this gets pushed out more so that it gets bigger. But the tumor will consolidate. Then it'll get harder and soft. Like sometimes you have this like diffuse soft tissue tumor, which is not fun for a surgeon to deal with, because it can disrupt, cells could go everywhere. But drinking the aloe in its process, in the immune system's process to getting rid of the toxicity, the cause, the tumor itself, the proteolytic enzymes to break down the tumor, it won't happen until the immune system is finished like pushing it all out into the tumor, and then it gets denser and harder and smaller, and it starts to pinch off from where it's connected to its blood supply.
Oh, cool.
And that's the perfect time for the surgery if you don't want to wait for it to pop off, dissolve, pop off, and get eliminated.
That's brilliant.
But surgeons can go in. I've had reports of people with tumors of some sort that have gone in, and it's like, wow, we went in and there was no tumor. But then other ones where it was like, wow, never seen anything like that. It would look like it was about to just, pinch off, and all we had to do was snip it. So it can really help, a vague, or a metastasized situation, consolidate it into more easily removed tumors because it's part of the way the immune system works.
Yep. So a couple more quick questions, and then I want to go to the images, and then definitely want to get a little bit of clarity. The person who was asking about the brain benefits, the best way to take it, it sounds like, and correct me if I'm wrong, would be to ideally, of course, drink it for systemic health, even crosses the blood-brain barrier. As you said earlier, it improves the energy fueling of the brain itself. Even the receptors and stuff like that can cause brain. So number one is to drink it. Number two, in terms of inhalation or exposing it to the sinuses. So are those both recommended, or would just be one? Okay.
Both absolutely recommended. And when you're specifically for brain health, and for gum health and regeneration and throat health, I would gargle or swish with the juice before swallowing, so the brain has time, to signal it to go directly up to the brain as opposed to through the lymph system. But so drinking it, holding it in your mouth, or taking little sips here and there besides your, therapeutic dosage, to keep sipping on it and holding in the mouth so it's available to the brain. Nasal spray. So the gel can be put in the nostril. It'll melt and you can sniff it up. But what we do is we pour the herbal aloe force juice into a little nasal spray bottle.
Oh, great.
And spray. or you can put it in a neti pot,
Oh,
or a diffuser, even an essential oil diffuser, and just breathe, instead of water, you can put the aloe and then
oh
put
my.
essential oils in it and then breathe it in. And you can also put it into nebulizers, which, and you don't have to dilute it.
Okay.
Before COVID, worked a lot with just people with asthma and emphysema who had nebulizers, and they just filled the container with the herbal aloe force directly and would breathe it in, because then the juice, the aloe being local and getting right into the lung tissue is great.
Wow.
But even in the sinus tissue, it's a beautiful thing. And remember, it's not the aloe, it's the macrophages in your nasal passages, in the sinuses, in the throat, in the lungs, that it is hydrating and fueling, to keep itself safe and regenerate damage and take down inflammation, and be the first line of defense, and to orchestrate the therapeutic regeneration.
Okay. So I got two
Yeah,
final pieces of
the
information.
brain. Yeah, so the brain. So the benefits for the aloe for the brain, for breathing it in, so it takes it up right through the sinuses.
Right.
Also, gel can be used in the eyes. The
Wow.
juice can too, but it's a different pH, so it's a little stingy. But the gel is a similar pH to the eyes, so it doesn't sting unless your eyes are really irritated. But people use it, you just put it on your finger and, just try to get it in there. It stays blurry for a few seconds, but it gets absorbed through the eyes, to the retina, and for eye health is magnificent. But also, if it's needed for the optic nerve and the brain, can go that way. I had a woman who had horrible headaches for 4 years, and she worked in a health food store and took all the things, went to doctors. They didn't know what it was and what triggered it. They didn't know it was a constant headache. She tried everything. And she was drinking about an ounce of aloe a day because she was doing all her supplements, and this is good, drink an ounce a day. And her sales rep, actually, after one of these calls, said, well, why don't you try 4 ounces 4 times a day for a month and see what happens? Well, she did 4 ounces 4 times a day. On the 3rd morning, she woke up and there was this black goo in the corner of her eyes.
Oh my. Detox.
So she's pulling on it and pulling on it. And then she looks in the mirror and goes, my headache is gone. She was laying there, what the hell is this? And while she's pulling on it, she realized her headache was gone. So to me, it's like, that's just one of those learning situations. Like, are you freaking kidding me? The brain, the immune system had this massive black goo in her brain somehow. We don't know why, we don't know how, whatever.
Yeah.
And instead, it must have been really toxic because it didn't want to put it through the whole system. It just forced it out the eyes. Who knew that was possible?
That's amazing. Wow, that's a great.
The brain health. Remember, hydration. The brain is like 85% water.
Okay.
So that's why I say keep it in your mouth. It will take the water right from the aloe that it needs. So you're getting brain clarity from just being hydrated, from getting the proper insulin and the balance, and regenerating any nerve damage. Had a woman who had a massive stroke, but she was feeling weird and kind of thought she was having a stroke. And she opened the fridge. She called 911 while she opened the fridge and started guzzling from the bottle her herbal aloe force, and she actually passed out.
Wow.
A coma on the floor. The paramedics, banged through the door, rushed her to the hospital. And when the doctor came in to tell her what was going on, he was just shaking his head going, I've never seen anything like this. You just had a miracle. You had a massive stroke, but somehow your brain just instantly rewired the nerve pathways. You have no side effects.
Oh, that's great.
So those are some crazy stories that you would not believe
Yeah.
unless like you're hearing them yourself. Like,
Okay.
you got to trust me, but I did, like, people call me and I don't believe them. But how can I not believe? Anyway.
It's all true, and I've seen stories with my own patients and stuff like that. So,
Yeah, it is such a fantastic fuel.
so it's the last couple of things. One is a question that I have, but someone has a question specifically. You mentioned before about the aloe kind of enhancing or complementing herbs. Like in your second formula, it actually has SEAC and other powerful herbs, so it actually amplifies or enhances their efficiency. But does that also work with, for example, they had a specific question about blood thinners. I guess it would be the question about blood thinners or medications. Is it also going to enhance or increase the
Mess with your dosage.
That's a
Mess
good.
with your
Thank
dosage.
you very much for making that clear.
Sometimes you need these scientific terms. Don't take your medications with the aloe.
Okay, good.
The aloe as food or fuel other times is fine. When you take your medication, take it with water. So maybe I wouldn't do my aloe. I would take my medications away from the aloe, but normally no one listens to me, and they do it anyway. And in 27 years, I've had no problem. The thing with blood thinners, so it doesn't really change the dosage, that much. Pharmaceutical medications are very specific, very potent. They do a certain thing, and that's what they do. But, to be cautious, it's better, to take it away from, just don't take your medications with the aloe, if you're concerned. Take your supplements with the aloe, things you want to be better absorbed.
Okay.
It can be, taken with it, for sure. But the thing about medications is with blood thinners, blood pressure medications, when you're fueling macrophages respond to information and signals in the body. So if your medication is controlling your blood sugar, then it's not being signaled that there's a problem. So it's not going to interfere. The medication will control what it's there to control, and, it's insignificant. If there's something that the medication is damaging or putting out of balance, because it's doing its thing, the macrophages will address that, which makes it very safe. But the other thing is, it's not going to stop your immune system from cleaning up your blood and cleaning up the signaling, and the neurotransmitters. So your blood and blood pressure and your circulatory system and your cardiovascular vessels are going to be healthier. Everything's going to be more pure and healthier, to where you may not need medication control of the blood pressure, the blood thinner. So, but that's a gradual process, because if you're drinking the aloe, it's not going to be like, oh, I drank some aloe and whoa, all of a sudden, I don't need this medication and I'm taking it. It'll be a gradual cleaning up of the body and restoring health, to where you may need to lower your dosage. So that's something to be aware of, that you might want to, lower your dosage. And
it sounds like you'd have more of a natural response and lower a medical.
Yeah. So there's no contraindications for our aloe, because we remove the laxative completely. You can take it daily in high amounts. It doesn't interfere with chemotherapy. It doesn't interfere, with radiation, although it will help healthy tissue not be in healthy cells, not get destroyed, using the chemo. Actually really helps with chemo. It helps side effects, and it helps the absorption of the chemo. It helps, keep the body, keep the liver and all your organs and your immune system healthy. We had people who, drink at least 8 ounces once a day, 4 ounces twice a day, if they want to deal with the side effects, avoid side effects of chemo.
Okay.
When you do 4 ounces 4 times a day, which is what the research is based on, not only you have no side effects, but you're helping to join in the purification of the body and keeps your immune system and organs healthy, so that you don't get a return. You don't get a reoccurrence.
Okay. In terms of if you still have time, we can do maybe 1 or 2 slides. I think some people like the visuals as well as the other stuff. And then I'll do a couple of those. I know I've been holding you up a long time. We could talk for hours.
I know. I've been talking my whole, 27 years, nonstop. My family hates me.
No. It's all good. I think it's important to get this information out there. It makes so much sense. It's common sense. It's harmony. It's
and it's only good side effects. The other thing, there's no interference. There's blood type diet, Ayurvedic diet that talk about aloe. Any information about aloe does not apply to us. Our aloe is good for, all Ayurvedic types, all blood types, because the negative in aloe is the aloin, which we removed.
And then even there was actually one comment that it's as a possible issue with FODMAP, which I would think is not a case.
Oh, it's fantastic. Yeah, the aloe is fantastic for any digestive situation, any balance situation.
Okay, great.
Also, aloe and fueling the macrophages is the only thing that's going to take pesticides out of your body and genetically modified, unidentified, eaten objects.
Wow. So I hope everybody heard that. Glyphosate, go away.
Right. And cortisol, go away. Stress, be gone.
That's a good point. That it lowers cortisol.
Be gone. Pesticides, be gone.
Okay. So let me see if I can pull up a couple of, and we can always do another interview. That's always an option.
Yep.
So let me see if I can share a screen here. Windows, and we'll just grab a couple of them, and then we've been going a long time. I know, holding you up, but I wonder if people can see this image now. Can everybody see this?
Yep.
Okay. And what would you like to say about this one?
This was a woman using just the skin gel topically, and day 1, she was so excited. I don't think it's all that great. I mean, I got rid of my wrinkles totally, but anyway, this was day 1 on the left. You can look at her cheek wrinkles, and under her eyes, and the other is day 3 with using the gel once a day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Let me see if I can get another one then. Let's see here.
Regeneration talk totally regrew my face. And this actually is my daughter. This was a surfing accident. This is her back of her leg on day 1. Actually, it was the end of the day. It had been bleeding day. So day 1, it's a big, scrape that was bleeding. Why doesn't she have day? Okay. There's
day 1, day 3, day 4.
Left out day 2. Day 2, it was just thinner. Day 3, it's almost gone. Day 4, gone. But the beauty of this was this happened her first day surfing on a 10-day vacation.
Oh, so she could keep vacationing.
And day 2, it was in the skin. It didn't look as good as day 3, but she could still go into the saltwater ocean without it burning. But day 4, like, because she was like, oh my God, look at this scar I'm gonna have, and la 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 la. And it's like, why? I was even impressed with
Okay.
that. It's like totally gone. It's totally gone. 4 days. Yeah, it's like, wow.
Pretty cool. Let me see.
And that's what it can do on the inside too. That juice healing up that gut. Okay. So this is the burn. So the first, I think, night, this woman on the picture on the left, day 1, is a burn. I'm trying to think of how she did it again. I think it was she didn't notice there was hot steaming coffee, I think.
Okay.
Out of the coffee maker. She was talking to someone and not watching, and she got scalded and burned, and put the gel on that afternoon and night. And day 2, it's mostly healed.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And I've had that for burns, like burns are like crazy. I had one terrible burn, and I was annoyed that I had to put the gel on like 4 times. I thought once should do it, but it like pulls the heat out. It pulls the heat out and will slough off if it needs to be slough off or burn, and regenerates tissue. Also with sunburn, sun damage,
I bet, yeah.
It's phenomenal. And we do have the spray, which sometimes is a little better, easier for the whole body to spray, for sunburn all over. But, I know we're all addicted to the sun blockers and sunscreens and the chemicals in the sunscreens. And what it does is it messes with our body, our skin's ability to deal with the sun. So it kind of is a catch-22. Is it good to, I think some blockers can be good, like zinc oxide, but anyway, using the gel morning and night, will address any sun damage you've had. A lot of people who drink the juice who have had sun damage, and sometimes it'll push out, some of the damage when you're drinking it. But I just tell people, just keep going, just keep putting the gel on, and then you just got rid of abnormal damaged cells, through your skin. So any damage that's been there, your whole life, or from a sunburn in the past, or whatever, it will either purify the damage, or will slough off and exfoliate the damaged skin. So, but using the gel before, or in general every day, but using it before putting on sunscreen is really good, because it will help detox from whatever we don't know what's going on in the sunscreen stuff. You worry, what am I putting on my skin every day? It's like, well, don't worry about it. Just put the aloe on. It will take care of it. But it also helps the skin produce melanin, which is what we tan instead of burn. So it will help the skin system work better to protect itself.
And we have another one more.
What was it? Oh yeah, Richard. So, first picture taken on his male pattern baldness situation where he's got a comb over. Well, I can't really point.
I can do it right here.
To point, and it's, the strands going across his head are from the right side there. Anyway, yeah. So it's definitely, that is one, those are big long hairs combed over. I should have made him, he was too vain to to do it another way. So month 4, and he was drinking the juice because he drinks the juice, but he was drinking the juice and using the gel. You can also put the juice into your shampoo and conditioner, so you're getting it that way. I had one girl who, just reported her hair's never been so gorgeous because she keeps the juice in her shower and pours it on, but it's cold. That's crazy. Put it in your shampoo. But also, Richard started using the spray to get through. Once he started having hair,
Right.
he used the spray to go through the hair. So 4 months of, from 1 month of using mostly the gel and drinking the juice, I mean, you can see all the hair growth where there was none. And then the 6-month picture, he had even more.
Wow.
And so it keeps going. So, but that was impressive. But drinking the juice is also good because it changes the hormones. It helps the hormones that are being produced, and things that are hormones that are not being produced as we get older, or genetically expressing, that the inner signals for hair growth are being anti-aged, basically, and balanced. So you take sometimes medications, on hormones, and stress can cause hair loss. And so many things can cause hair loss these days. So drinking the juice and using it topically actually can help locally to restore healthy hair follicles, and internally to balance and clear out anything interfering with the signals for hair growth. I've had a lot of women mainly. Maybe that's because I've spoken to women who have been just drinking the medicinal use during cancer and chemotherapy treatments, who never lost their hair. I had a woman who had horrible colon and rectal cancer, and was drinking 4 ounces 4 times a day and doing actually pretty horrendous chemo. What the doctors find, the oncologists find, is that when you're drinking the aloe, you tolerate chemo without side effects. So they give you stronger and stronger, which is great. If you're into that, dual approach, it's great because it protects your body and helps, along with the chemo, situation, so they can tolerate medical treatments in all forms. That can tolerate medications needed, surgeries needed, chemo needed. A lot of people cannot tolerate it. I had my cousin who had a inoperable brain tumor, who was allergic. She says, I don't know. Allergic is a strange term. It's, but couldn't tolerate the chemo. And she never touched a health product in her life, but somehow I convinced her to drink 4 ounces 4 times a day of the aloe. And in 2 weeks, she was out of bed. Her daughter moved out. She was walking the dog, grocery shopping. She was bedridden, and they gave her 3 months to live. In 6 months, the tumor was more than half gone.
Awesome.
She had her whole life back, and all the effects from chemo were gone. We grew her hair back. And a year later, it was totally gone. And she just celebrated her 18th cancer-free year.
That's impressive. Everybody, I hope everybody's listening still. It was definitely worth hanging out to hear another great story. I love those stories because you beat the system in many ways.
Yeah, I had no idea at that point. That was pretty early on, in my aloe career. I was just as impressed, as she was. Now the family's all mad because it's a little bit of a pain in the butt, but it's all
It's
right.
okay.
We got to see her, both daughters get married and have grandchildren.
Great.
And it's just a beautiful, beautiful story.
Well, thank you again for another great story. And I think I hope people listen closely. We answered the detail of the questions for the people, but the key takeaways, and you can sum it up much better than I can, but for sure it's natural. It goes in the harmony of the entire body systemically. It has the body intelligence, which, as I always, as a practitioner, people say, oh, you're going to help me. I say, no, the smart person or the smart thing in the room is your body, and that's doing the work. I'm just here to give you some tools. So I think those are the great things, alkalizing, all these different things. So I think that's why it's so important. Everybody must listen. And I'm going to hand it over to you to say any concluding remarks. And
Yeah.
thank you very much for being here so much.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. And thank you all for listening. We're here. There's more scientific information on our website, herbalanswers.com, and just an email or a messenger or whatever you guys do for Joe's link for a discount to purchase the aloe at aloeanswers.com. The aloe, the whole live aloe complex that we have is 100% purified and is safe to be used daily in high amounts if needed, for newborns to the elderly, for pets, for every condition. Remember, anything you read or hear or somebody tells you about, oh no, you can't drink aloe every day, or you can't do this, or it won't do that, or it doesn't do anything, or you can't give it to pregnant women. None of that applies to us. It is safe for all conditions. It's unconditional love fuel for your body, because it's fueling your specialized cells. All the specialized cells in your body that do specialized things, you're just supplying the fuel so they can do whatever they need to do to grow itself, to produce all the biochemicals that it needs. You know, you produce your own collagen, you produce your own CoQ10, you produce your own glucosamine and glutathione, because these are our main growth cells, our macrophages, that are being fueled, as well as all the other cells that it is integrated with. It fuels our signaling and communication system. It fuels our balancing for proper pH in every part of the body,
That's
for
important.
restoring and regrowing microbiomes, not only in the gut, in the gastrointestinal system, but there's microbiomes everywhere. You want a pH balanced, alkaline, oxygenated system to where invaders and damage cannot thrive. So the oxygenation, the aloe also has antioxidant polysaccharides, all the things that you're looking for from your different supplements in all areas of health. I can't think of one that isn't addressed with this complete fuel. Like I said, the aloe plant's the only plant with all the fuels that mammals, that bodies need to create and grow itself and maintain all the functions in the body. It helps on a cellular level to increase cell metabolism, mitochondria action, and to hydrate the cells, to strengthen the cell walls, including skin cells, so your skin looks smoother. And to detox, so cells push out toxins better, they're healthier, they increase metabolism better. So the cell itself is healthier, it's stronger, and doing what it needs to do. So if you're getting your cells healthy, you're getting your glands healthy, and your organs healthy, and your systems healthy, and you're just fueling yourself with things your body has not seen since puberty.
Wow.
And in colostrum and in young, children, we can produce the immune enhancing fuel, but not in unlimited amounts.
Right.
We've had stories of people putting the herbal aloe force directly into feeding tubes, and one man who was given not going to make it through the night. His brother poured 16 ounces, half a bottle of the herbal aloe force into his feeding tube, into small intestines. And 4 hours later, the hospice nurse called the brother and said, "You're not going to believe this. Your brother just woke up." He was in a coma. He woke up, went to the bathroom, came out to find us like nothing had happened. So I've been privy to looking at 27 years of story after story, organ after organ, glands, properties, situations that you're trying, to improve. And the beauty of why I love this aloe every day, fall in love with it every single day, is because it's fueling our body's own cells and systems and glands to balance and regenerate and function, and not to mention life force. Here's pictures of our Krillian photos. This is the pure aloe force. This is, oops, wrong way. This is the herbal aloe force. These are two other aloe, not ours, but the life force, the light, the aura energy coming off live aloe fuels us. We're being fueled with, yes, these beautiful fuels, but the energy, the life force of live aloe plant, which is a fountain of living waters in a desert. That's what we are fueling ourselves with the constant growth and hydration and purification and regrowth and energy. And that's how you know when you're drinking enough, is when your symptoms back off and you feel better and you feel energized. Then you know your body has enough fuel to do everything it needs to do, everything it wants to do, and still has left over for your life force energy production.
Well, thank you. That's a great summary. And it's all true, and it's all based on science and so much experience, and the desire to get stuff to help people as she's done, which is impressive, which is very touching. Her interest to help reduce suffering is always admirable, and things like that. And it's the greatest motivator that I can think of. So thank you very much for joining us.
And thank you, Joe, because, people come to you, and you've discovered a new tool in our toolbox, which is so crucial and can only be shared with each other. So you sharing this with the people you come into contact with and your clients and patients, it's so appreciated, because of the FDA and the science, mindset, and whatever reasons. I've stopped being annoyed or angry, because we have discovered, that God's way is the best way. Nature's way is most potent. Man can't improve upon the potency of the aloe vera plant. And it is the mother of all plants.
Well said. Guaranteed.
So sharing with each other, experimenting, prove us wrong. Just please, prove us wrong. That's what I did. And here I am. I tried to do. Really, challenge your body. Your body can do way more when fueled properly.
Okay, great. And for her, she has herbalanswers.com, which is about lots of research and other science. Herbal aloe force. There are two types, one with the herbs, which is amazing, and one which is the
Pure,
getting the pure kind. And if people are interested in discounts, they can email me, and I'll be happy to send them a link so they can do that. And then we'll just make, our goal is to make it work for everybody. But I've had people from many continents to use this with great success. So I'm a testament to everything that she's saying, but I'm also an engineer like herself. I've done the research, I've read it, it's true, and this is the best. So thank you very much for the opportunity for sharing this, and I look
Yes.
forward to seeing you again in the future.
Thank you so much for all you do, Joe. Thank you. And you all try it, share with each other, share back with us so we can continue making this available to you all. Thank
Okay.
you so much. Thank you, Joe.
Take care now. Thank
Take
you.
care. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.